Okay.
Exactly.
You
All
know,
right, man. Let's transition to the news. We got one bit of news. It had to be covered, my man. This is a Smith recommendation. It was kind of eye revealing. I had my one sentence response to it, so let's get into it. So, this is from I pulled this one out from USA Today. Biden sends hundreds of border agents steps up flights to remove Haitian migrants from south of Texas. The Biden administration will fly Haitian migrants back to their home country after a wave of migrants into the United States through the southern border in recent days. The southern wave brought thousands of Haitians to Del Rio, Texas, many gathering near a bridge in the border town as the administration prepared a plan to deal with the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, deemed a border crisis. Expelling Haitian migrants from the United States, which is set to begin Sunday, which is today, is part of the Biden administration's 6-point strategy for dealing with the increase in border crossing in Del Rio, the Department of Homeland Security said Saturday. I'm just going to scroll down and grab some further commentary. The Haitians were crossing the Rio Grande freely. Those who couldn't purchase supplies and necessities in the United States would just cross the Rio Grande to briefly visit Mexico to retrieve what they needed, included food, cardboard, and which was used to temporarily settle under or near the bridge in Del Rio. The Department of Homeland Security stressed that under the Biden administration, borders are not open and should not make the dangerous journey. According to the statement outlining the strategy released Saturday morning, is also to stress that migrants crossing the border will be subject to restriction and deportation. So, recently we've had stories surrounding Afghan migrants or Afghan refugees, to be more politically correct. We've had stories regarding other Latin migrants coming in through the border. And to be fair, I've heard Kamala Harris tell them that they needed to go back, but we haven't
allowed in.
Yes, and we haven't seen a 6-point plan until now, which seems a little bit too coincidental, now that it's Haitian migrants. So what do you guys have to say about this?
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Smith, and then Henry, and then Black Zeus.
Yeah, I think it looks like exactly what it looks like. And I was offended when I first read the article because now all of a sudden you're going to deport migrants. All of this time you've been taking them in and putting shelter. You're still trying to find families that was separated under the last administration. But in this case, it's like, okay, now that we see these people that look how they look,
mm-hmm.
We don't want them to come over here. We want to immediately make sure that we're following this plan that I had never heard of, the 6-point plan. But we want to follow this plan and make sure that these migrants that's already here don't get any further or don't disperse themselves out throughout the states. We're going to immediately send them back. That's just mind-boggling to me. It's racist on its face. Yeah. That's how I look at it.
Henry?
Yeah, are they saying that this 6-point plan is just for Haitians, or this is just supposed to be something that's going to be implemented moving forward?
Honestly, I got to look into it. What the 6-point plan, to be in all fairness, I will assume, they're not going to necessarily say it's specifically just Haitians because that will cause an uproar. But but we could kind of read between the lines in regards of the timing of the 6-point plan when we've been dealing with migrant, border issues since for the past couple of decades, but more importantly, ever since this Biden administration is really ramped up.
Well, the only devil's advocate I can play is that your man Trump did work on deporting motherfuckers. Specifically, I don't want to say specifically, but I know including, certain immigrants who may have committed crimes or whatever. So is this a situation where it's racism? Probably. I mean, the only other spin that they could put is just like, okay, we got niggas coming from here, from here, from there. Shit, they come from Haiti. These things come from everywhere, bro. Now it's time to shut it down. I mean, I could say that, but 9 times out of 10, they probably looking at it like, look at these black motherfuckers here. We, it's enough. Enough is enough already. I just wonder how Kamala Harris feels about this, being that she is, technically black.
Black Zeus.
Well, I'm not really concerned about Kamala Harris's interest in a way because, as they say, just because we skin folk don't make us kin folk. I'm trying not to take it personal, being of, coming from Haitian and Cuban descent. Both sides of my family are, immigrants, the type that comes over floating on something,
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is, it does send a very confusing and mixed message, where it's just like, okay, these are accepted, but not those. And the only reason I could possibly think for that, were other than, because I feel like, saying it's a racist agenda is low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Now, if there's an economic agenda, because real talk, Haiti doesn't have a lot of resources or economic growth to give America versus Mexico, which is tourism and the fruits and things that Mexico provides towards America, or maybe Afghanistan with connections to oil, or possibly there might be a few great mines in Afghanistan that we don't know about, connections to groups and organizations in Afghanistan that we don't know about, so I think just saying that's a racist thing is low hanging fruit, but it definitely does not look good to say like, okay, this group is cool, this group is cool, this group is not, without any real clarification of what makes these two groups acceptable and this one not. So I'll wait to see what else comes out.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I definitely need to look into the 6-point plan to really.
Yeah, I'm looking at part of it, and one of the main things is that they want to accelerate the pace of this, and that's the thing that makes it stand out to me. How fast they're moving with this. By the time I learned that more Haitians was coming to this point, there was already a plan to get these motherfuckers out.
Yeah.
How fast that was. Everybody that comes over, it's always a la 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 la, or humanitarian issue, or some back and forth. This was a decision that was made and put into place, and it's happening today as we speak.
And to piggyback off of that, Smith, it's like, when Biden was elected, immediately you had what those migrant caravans, I believe, migrant vans coming from like many parts of South and Central America, and they were trying to make their way to the border. And to Smith's point, in regards of how they kind of dragged their feet, knowing that they were coming up here, they kind of dragged their feet, and they still didn't address it, like in regards of saying like, this is our plan. Like, like I said, Kamala Harris, all she had to say, because she was appointed to oversee the border issue, all she had to say was she was encouraging them just to go back. There wasn't a plan. She was just encouraging them to go back. And now you see where those folks look like us coming through the border. Now there's this 6-point plan to get them out of here. And knowing, how the U.S. involvement in Haiti is just like, I don't know, man. It's just like, I'm like Black Zeus. Being that I have Haitian lineage, I'm trying not to go, like he said, the low hanging fruit. But man, it's hard as hell not to see it for what it is in this situation. So like, I'm gonna take the Black Zeus route and be do some more diligence so I could be well informed. And if I feel like this is what it is, then I'll call it what it is. But man, it just reeks of prejudice in my, as of this moment, prior to me reading anything else. But that's that, man. All right, so my man Mr. Smith has picked a wonderful book for us to listen, to read, whatever your format is It's a co-authored book. Rick Ross and Neil Martinez-Belkin, The Perfect Day to Boss Up, a hustler's guide to building your empire. So, Smith, you want to give a quick synopsis on what this book is about?
Basically, it's a captivating and inspiring guide to building an untouchable empire from mud to marble, no matter what obstacles may stand in your way.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
What did you read that shit from the internet? I was to say that shit was too perfect.
That was articulate as hell. Like, really?
Stepping up my game.
You should have saw the ray of sunshine that came down on Smith. Like, yeah, brother.
It's a perfect way to boss up, man.
Yeah, he's bossing up.
I was getting inspired by some of the things that I was hearing in the book.
Man, we have a shit ton of questions today, man. This is all based on the first 9 chapters for a very short book. So hopefully we can get through quite a few of these.
Could be a book by itself.
Yeah, man. All right, we're just gonna do this quickly in chronological order. We're just gonna pick one question from each person, and then however much time we have left, we'll then try to get into the other questions. Black Zeus, you got 3. Which one you want to start off with? The first, second, or third?
You have to come back to me because I can't.
All right, we'll start off with Smith since it is his book. Which one you got 2, Smith? Which one you want to start? The first or the second? What?
It don't matter.
It don't matter. All right, let's start with the first one. The Perfect Day to Boss Up. Rick Ross says, if you do more than what you paid for, eventually you'll be paid more for what you do. Do you believe that most people talk about being a boss, but really they don't want to go above and beyond their job description? Hell yes. But who wants to chime in with that answer?
I go first.
Go ahead.
I say yes. That's why you have more fucking employees than you do bosses. Like, I don't know. I could just compare it to my job where you get a lot of people who say, yo, I'd never want to be an administrator. And the big part of it is because of the fucking duty that shit entails. So I think for a lot of people, it just sounds good to say, you know, this is what I want to do, because you always want to seem like you're working on something to better yourself. But a lot of times people just get complacent where they are, either because they don't want to do it, they're afraid to do it, or they're just comfortable where they at. So yes, it's a lot. And I mean, last thing I really say is it's a lot easier to say that you want to do X, Y, and Z than actually do it. Where this nigga's like, yo, I'm hustling 24/7, 365. That nigga was like, I fuck around. Only reason I stopped doing shows is because I had seizures. Nigga, I would have still went up on the stage and had a seizure, be doing an electric slide up on that bitch if it wasn't for my mom telling me no. So it is.
Yeah, man.
I have unfair advantage on this.
You do.
Subject.
You do.
Yeah,
being that you're an entrepreneur.
What about you when I was reading this? I was like, oh, you should be enjoying this. This
book, I have to admit, speaks to my heart. It speaks to my heart. Like everything he talks about, I relate to. So, on the question of here's the thing. I remember when I first started training and I was working at New York Sports Club. And when you start New York Sports Club, at least back in the day, you start as a floor trainer, which meant the fact that you got the bare minimum of like $7 an hour to be on the floor, and you had to like help people and answer their questions, pick up towels and clean up the locker room and do laundry and stuff like that when you weren't training a client. Your job was to basically be the maintenance guy at the gym and also, help customers. And I was just like, I saw it as an opening and opportunity. So I was like, I was all in. When I was on shift, you couldn't find a towel on the floor. You couldn't find a weight out of place. Anybody asked me for questions, assistance, I was right there to answer it. I was all over it. I remember another trainer, was asking me in the locker room one day, like, "Yo, why you doing all this extra and this, that, and the other?" And it seemed to me like a really odd question because I'm just like, this is what I signed up for. If I want people to take me seriously, my work got to be serious. I didn't think it was something I even had to think about or question. You know. And he was like, all right, well, the whole thing was, he was like, okay, well, you're doing a good job, and so forth and so on. And I remember that trainer later on, months later, he was gone. He fizzled out. While I got to a certain point where you go from being a floor trainer to being a pro trainer, where you no longer had to do all those little tasks and stuff. You can come and go as you please because you had enough clientele that you basically work on your own time. You know what I mean? And I was at a point where people just walk up to me and be like, "I want to train with you." And I'm like, "Well, let me show you the package." Like, no, I'll just buy the biggest package without knowing the price of it. At the time it was like somewhere around like $2,000. Just to buy like 20 sessions or something like that. I forget what it was. And even though I was at that level, I was still helping out around the gym, and because I took it as like, this is my gym, and my gym's gonna be immaculate and gonna be on point. And next thing you know, I was teaching classes, I was doing spin classes, I was doing boxing classes, I was training this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, I was the man in the gym. When I started off as the guy who just picked up towels, you know what I mean? So I totally know where he's coming from with that. Like the effort you put in, the work you put in, it's like paying it forward. You're investing into your future. And the thing is, most people don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
They look at it as like, I'm only going to give as much as I get back. Okay, well, you gave bare minimum, so you're getting that bare minimum. If that's your logic, but most people don't think of it like that. They don't think like, I'm going to, pay it up forward so I can get back in return as a return on investment. Most people look at it as, I'm only going to give as much as I get. They only expect me to do this, I'm only going to do that. Or if I don't get paid extra for doing the extra, I'm not going to do the extra. So that just shows how um, narrow people's vision of the future is.
Yeah. Like I say hell yes, because this is a form of peacocking. I think a lot of people are enamored with the title of being a boss, or trying to portray the image of a boss, and they don't necessarily do the day-to-day things, as Schubert pointed out, to really earn that title. I have a quick anecdotal story similar to Black Zeus in regards of the gym world, and Kelvin knows this individual. Several years ago, I used to work out with a brother who kind of branched off from a much larger gym to a smaller boutique gym. And, while he was good in training, I think he was missing elements in regards of promoting the gym and doing the things necessarily to attract new clients. And, Kelvin and I, we used to talk about this brother in regards of his bad business practice. And I was like, yo, this is going to be the downfall of this gym if he doesn't necessarily do the things that it is required. It's not necessarily just knowing how to, keep clients in shape and stuff like that. It's also the advertising and the other legwork stuff. And you see it all the time. People have businesses, and they in America, it's very easy to launch a business. It really is compared to other countries. But like a lot of times businesses fails because people don't quickly realize like the amount of work it really takes to sustain that business. Like it's damn near, almost not, I don't want to over exaggerate. It's a 24/7 job, but you're putting in a whole lot of fucking hours. And I think people like the title of being an entrepreneur and being a boss, but like they don't really grasp like how much work it really takes. And I don't know who you blame that on. I don't know if that's just a mental, handicap that we tend to have with being a boss. Like you just don't have to work anymore. But that's
the wrong misconception of being the boss.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that Ross talked about. Like no job is beneath a boss. Basically, no job is too big, small. And saying that if I go into a wing stop and I see that the floor needs to be swept, I'm going to sweep it. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to, call somebody from behind the register because it's my store.
Yeah.
I think that at times that sometimes people do go in and put in the extra work, but then they don't see any results or they don't get acknowledged for doing that extra work. And it takes away their drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
sometimes, even if it's not through a monetary gain, sometimes you just want to be acknowledged for going above and beyond. Sometimes you're doing it just because, but sometimes it's nice to be acknowledged. And I think a lot of times, especially in education, it's just an assumption that you're doing these things, or it's an assumption that these things should be done. And when you don't, feel like it's appreciated, I think that's a lot where people don't want to go above and beyond, and they start saying that's not in my job description.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's your empire. All of it is part of your job description.
All of it.
Yo, the crazy, what, Smith? I just thought about some shit yesterday. Fucking that whole was not in my job description shit. So we've been a little short staffed, and it's been spilling over into like lunch duty. And now you got the fucking custodians. We're asking niggas to help clean, help do with discipline. You to the tables to do X, Y, and Z. And one of the vice principals, I guess he got upset because at some point during lunch, the two custodians was like talking to one of the teachers while the kids was eating. So his philosophy is like, yo, if y'all got a time to talk, that mean y'all not working. So then the nigga went and told the principal. So now they got back to the custodian. This nigga's like, yo, I'm sitting here doing shit I'm already not supposed to be doing. That I'm about to take my lunch break during this time. I'm about to do exactly what the fuck is in my job description.
Exactly.
So I mean, I'm sorry, man. That shit just made me think about that.
No, because they're going.
There has to be a balance.
Beyond. They are going above and beyond than what they're supposed to be doing, especially as a custodial staff. And then you go and you tell on me.
And this is the head. This is the head custodian too. The nigga who yeah. This is the head nigga.
Yeah, make my job harder. I'm not even supposed to be doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're trying to get me written up on something I'm not even supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? That's some bull.
All right, so we're gonna quickly transition on. I'm trying to play this audio clip that Kelvin and
did you just call him question? Did you call him question man? Come on, question man.
I'm sorry, commentator.
Come on, you moderator.
That nigga Cash over there fumbling the questions. Nigga, ask the question. I don't think the audio's gonna play.
Like, yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, the audio ain't gonna,
I was trying to. I sent it to myself to see if I could play, but it won't be able to play. But anyway, so this is Kelvin's questions based on the audio clip. How can a leader keep their team motivated to continuously do their part?
Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it or not, but it just basically said that it compared the leader to a body, saying that the leader was the head. Well, really just the whole team. To a body, saying that the leader was the head, but the fucking rest of the team is like the
backbone.
Yeah.
Every team member is a part of the backbone. And if one piece of the team is missing the vertebrae, which hurts the entire body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm about to pull my pen and pad out on this one so I can really get some fucking suggestions. Let's start with Smith on this one since he's a teacher, and this is who the fuck I'm trying to motivate.
How do you keep your team motivated to continuously do their part?
By not snitching on them for doing a job that they're not even supposed to be doing. Like straight up, it's everything I just said initially. Especially in the school system, they want to feel appreciated. You know what I mean? If you have people going above and beyond, and so what, I'm sitting here talking to a teacher. I'm still in here as an adult, monitoring something that I'm not supposed to be doing. And instead of you being appreciative or coming over and saying, hey, could you all, X, Y, and Z and coming to me, you're running to the higher up. You know what I mean? So you bypass me. So if I don't feel like I'm part of the team, I'm never going to buy into this team dream thing. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like I'm part of the team when I feel like it's us against you. You know what I mean? It's the administration against the staff. So a lot of your staff probably don't have buy-in with you all because you all have that divide. You have that separation. Like my school, we have a parking lot, so to speak, and there are spots for the DC and VPs but they wouldn't even have common sense to make a spot for a teacher of the month to give a teacher that accolade to feel like, oh, I can get one of these spots that's up front too. There's always a us against them thing. If I was the principal of the school, I wouldn't give a fuck about having the first spot or the last spot. As long as I got a spot to park, I'm cool with that. But that's the difference in being a true leader. You know what I mean? Actually getting in the swamp with your fellow swamp members, not just sitting outside and saying I don't want to get my feet dirty.
Yeah.
You know? And to be able to run and go tell the principal, why wasn't the principal in there with you all stepping up? If you're gonna be a team and be seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like, what you said there, Smith, in regards of getting into the mud with your team. I think that's one of the things that always ran true with me in corporate America. A lot of times, the way I always made a distinction between a leader and a boss was the leader was someone who saw that staff was overwhelmed and they jumped in. They didn't say, well, my title, doesn't say I need to do this sort of menial work. Like, that's on you. Like, nah, like, you saw that your team is, underwater. You jump in and you start helping to with the buckets to get the water out of the ship. But to go to your question, Cal, and I hate this answer, but this tends to ring true. To keep a team motivated, you gotta, like, a lot of times they gotta have monetary incentives. People are driven by money. What that threshold is, I don't know. It depends on the company and the business, but like if you have like sort of like quarterly incentives to like, hey, if we could do X, Y, and Z, or quarterly, semi-annual, or annually, this is what you could see yourself getting. I think a lot of times money is the driver in regards of getting the best performance out of people.
So I'm coming from a different perspective. I'm coming from the perspective of, if you're looking at it from a soldier's perspective, soldiers will go above and beyond, not for accolades, obviously not for money, but for their other team members. The fact that they look at each other and say, okay, we're going on this mission. My job is to get you and you home alive, and your job is to get me home alive. So each soldier has that obligation to their team member and one another. It also translates, nowadays, if you ever go on a mud race, at the very beginning of every mud race, when they go through, trying to get the audience hyped up, they tell you, look to the Spartan to the left, you look to the Spartan to the right of you, and, they tell you to say to them, we're going to get through this together. We're going to cross the finish line, and that feeling of camaraderie, that feeling of like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, and that others are relying on you and you are relying on them, makes you truly feel like a team, even if you're complete strangers, because if you ever gone to a mud race, you'll see people who don't know each other, don't know their names, don't know black, white, this, that, and the other. They get over the wall, they reach over to the next person behind them to help them get over that wall. Whether they're overweight or whether they're in shape, whatever the case may be, they support one another. And you can't create that true camaraderie, that true, partnership with just money or just titles and material accolades. Sometimes you have to reach a little deeper into someone's soul and say, what's really important to them. So let's say in the case of like Kelvin with his teachers, they have to know that they're all in this together, that they're all suffering together, and that when they leave another teacher behind, that's like someone leaving them behind. One of my little sister most recently left the Newark school system, to go after a higher position in a educational foundation, and though she is happy with the job that she's taking on and all the things that comes along with it, she feels like she's leaving her teammates behind. When she reads these articles, she feels like she's leaving them in the mud, and she was genuine about when she was at that job. Like, she was offered a job as a VP, but she felt like she couldn't do the work that she could do as a teacher, helping her fellow teachers and doing with her students as a VP as she could, when she was a teacher. So the whole thing is you have to create that type of mindset where it's like your presence is necessary. Your presence is needed as part of the team. You're not just a replaceable part.
That's a good one. Making sure that they're not a replaceable part,
Because too often they feel like they can be replaced.
Yeah.
Too often, when you're in a school environment, administration feel as though they can use that as a threat to you also.
Smith, that expands to corporate America, man. I've been part of so many restructuring. The way we terminate people is ridiculous.
Yeah, the way they shuffle and all that. And, And a lot of times in school, it's people, not the program. So when you have good people, you have to respect them. You know what I mean, and keep them close to you, because you can have a program, but it's that person that's running that program. It's not that program that you have. So,
and not for nothing, going back to our earlier conversation, if you took away that tenure makes people feel too comfortable. When people are comfortable, they're not hungry. When they're not hungry, they're not going as hard as they possibly can. That's the thing that drives people. Like Ross was saying in the book, he thought that every person he was signed to the label would be as hungry as he is, but it's not true.
That's not true. Exactly.
Yeah.
Not true.
So if you make sure that their bellies are always full, they'll never have that hunger. And without that hunger, they don't have that drive. They don't have that ambition.
Gluttony is one hell of a sin, brother.
Well,
when you're allowing everybody to eat, it's easier to keep your team motivated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I like everything you said. I mean, everything you said, Smith, we already do outside of that teacher of the month. So that's a good one. With the parking spot, I mean.
Start handing out gift cards, bruh.
Yeah, gift cards, And they don't have to be big, $5 one.
See, that's the only. Yeah, see, that's the only.
It's small tokens of appreciation.
So like
that makes that teacher go 100,000 more miles for you.
I'd agree. And you know what? Looking at the bigger picture, and I kind of stepped back and did that shit. It's really not that many people calling out, like different people. It's been like the same motherfuckers a couple times. And the only tricky part about it, and I think I kind of touched on it before, which, can still be done, but you reward all the niggas who ain't doing the shit. And that one nigga, let me see who's doing it. And the one nigga who ain't doing what they're supposed to be doing, it could go either way. And they could be like, man, fuck y'all. I'm gonna just keep on doing the fuck I'm doing now. Or y'all want to put it on blast like that? Like,
that only goes but so far if the rest of your team is strong. If the rest of those links are strong, that one link is not going to break anything. They're going to jump on board.
I just got to look at
on board. That one person will have to be able to either absorb into the mix or be pushed out.
Yeah, I just got to look and see, like, legally what shit I can do, because I'm all for inviting niggas to certain things and excluding the motherfucker who ain't do X, Y, and Z. I mean, I know it can be like a personal function, but I don't know about school. Like, I had the security guards and the custodians. I invited niggas over last night and threw some on the grill for them niggas, because them motherfuckers been going hard as hell. Like I said, doing all that extra shit that the niggas don't normally do. So it's just like, but then I'm not inviting every teacher up in my,
I'll be right back.
Well, you guys, but you showed them appreciation, so
and I do.
They'll go more of a distance for you. You know what I mean? That is appreciated. Like, you didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? And nobody has to do anything, but even to thank you. You know what I mean? And administrators at times don't even know how to say thank you.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you for covering this class that you didn't have to cover.
Yo,
I appreciate you. You know what I mean?
Every morning, I sit in my motherfucking car. Before I get up out that bitch, I shoot a 1-minute video that I send out to the whole damn staff. A lot of the shit is like, yo, don't forget that we got a so-and-so going on today. But I always either start that shit or end that shit with, yo, thank y'all for coming in. And I really fucking mean that shit. Like, yo, I'm not even saying that shit to be sarcastic or nothing along them lines. So, like, a lot of them are buying in. It's just, unfortunately, man, in this setting, when you got 5 niggas out, that shit is hurting a lot of other things when you need all hands on deck for a lot of operations.
Well, unfortunately, man, if the environment being that I can only share from in corporate America, when you when you have an environment that's so toxic, there's so much you can do when morale is just bad. You could just work with those who's willing to work, and hopefully things and pieces could come together later, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like that situation can't be resolved, because I've been part of those environments where it's been just so toxic, where it's just like there's nothing you can do except for at some point you just move on. You're personally yourself, you maybe the team.
It ain't even
yeah.
It ain't even that. It's just more so, I think more so what I think it was Schubert saying, that whole buying into where it's like, yo, I'm looking out for my team member, because y'all niggas are a team. It's 3 of y'all on the 7th grade team, and when 2 of y'all motherfuckers out, it makes it harder for the teacher who's there.
But you know what makes that difficult is you don't know the backstory of all the team members involved, and if everyone's not coming in with a fresh, clean slate. Like if you got one teacher who's been a teacher for 20 years and they're just disgruntled for the fuck of being disgruntled. I've been in that environment. You just like, there's nothing you could do about that individual. Or you got, I don't know, you just got.
And the flip side of that, Henry, is you've been on a team where 2 people called out at the same day. It didn't make it that much harder for you when they come to your class. Is learning going on, and when they ain't in your class, then you don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, but you know what else? I mean, the only difference now is that shit is, I can't even say that is that it's
at the end of the day.
I can't say it.
Yeah,
honestly,
I go to Mr. Black Zeus class. I'm going to behave a certain way, but because he's
nah, bro. I go to Mr. Black Zeus class. I'm getting fucking lifted up.
I got subs in these other 2 clubs, so I'm gonna show my ass. Yeah. But that doesn't make it hard for Mr. Black Zeus.
Yeah. Okay.
When you come to all right, Black Zeus, and then we'll transition into the next question. This is not going to be hogged up with teachers. Dilemmas again.
Henry, good one.
Go ahead, Black Zeus.
And at the end of the day, if you can't work with the parts that you have, your system needs to be revamped and get rid of the tenure so that you can bring in new fresh blood and breed them the way you want them to be. Because you can't train old dogs new tricks. That's just what it is.
Exactly. There's nothing you can do. I've been in those environments. A lot of times, toxic people in certain environments, it is what it is. Unless you bring in new blood with a fresh, clean slate, you're just going to have to deal with that. And like this, sometimes monetary incentives is just not going to turn those people around, because they'll just be like, yo, I don't even care about that. I've seen that, But next question. In chapter 5, don't waste your time, Ross states, don't put a deadline on your dreams. Under what circumstances does a person have to let their dream go? So
I was thinking about that.
That one resonated. Like when he ended that chapter with that quote, I'm like, I got some pushback. But go ahead, Black Zeus. You was thinking about it.
When I think about it, it's like you have to let go of your dream when it becomes a detriment to yourself and others around you. So, like, let's say you want to be a rap star, you want to be a comedian, you want to go into something that, whatever the case may be, whatever your dream may be, but now you got a kid at home who's hungry. You know what I mean? Like, when he said, like, there's been people like, what's his name? Steve Harvey, who lived out of his Fort Temple for like 2 years. There's been like, people like, what's his name? Like Rick Ross, who was homeless, or Jennifer Lopez, who lived in that dance studio, this, that, and the other. So the whole thing is, those people can afford to put themselves at a detriment to a certain level, but when it truly becomes a complete detriment, not just to yourself, but to others, like if you have a family at home to feed and take care of that can end up homeless because of your dreams, then it's like, that might be the time for you to say, I need to reassess this.
Yeah, I think the flip side of that though is, if it's a dream, you've probably moved on it earlier. If it's a dream, you probably moved on it early and probably have done the things that you need to do. So even if something came about like a child, you were so close to that dream that child won't alter the whole trajectory of where you were going with that dream. You know what I mean? It's different if you are 50, 40, even 30, and you decide, oh, I got a new dream at 30. Okay, are you willing to put 5 or 10 years in that dream to make it happen by 40? You know what I mean? Or are you just going to write it off and say, it's too late? You know what I mean? So I think that you shouldn't put a deadline on the dream, but I think that if you are acting on whatever that dream is, it doesn't take that long for that dream to come into fruition. I don't believe that either. You know what I mean? If you're living, eating, breathing, and sleeping that dream, like these people that were sleeping in these cars that you all were talking about, they were sacrificing because they was like, this is my dream and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this happen. Even Jamie Foxx was one that was like that. I'm going to make this happen now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think if you're putting that much into the dream, that there isn't a deadline for it because it can happen for you. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting perspective. My answer was similar to Black Zeus when I was compiling this question. It's, I think about a lot of entertainers, and we've all met them. Everyone wants to be a rapper. Everyone wants to be in entertainments and stuff like that. And, this dream started in their 20s or late teens, and now they're in their 40s, and you're just like, damn, bro, you still chasing this shit? Like, yo, what are you doing in the meantime to keep yourself alive? Like, oh, your mom's taking care of you, or you do, like you got this chick taking care of you. I don't know. I just think that, and I appreciate your perspective, Smith. So now that I'm trying to have to formulate maybe a different response, but my initial gut response is like to what Black Zeus says, is if it comes to the detriment to yourself, like, are you no longer being a productive person because now you're not seeing the fruition of this dream, and now you're not doing anything else to not only sustain yourself, but.
And I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with the part of what Black Zeus said, but I'm coming from that other perspective simply because you have to look at it from another point of view. You know? If it becomes detrimental, I can see myself saying, you know what, at some point I need to put this dream
on the shelf.
Either on hold or on the shelf. But when people do that, what happens is they start living through their kids, and now they make their kids try to become their dream. So that's the other flip side of that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's always a flip side or another side of that coin.
Henry, what you got?
I'll probably just say, to piggyback off of what y'all are saying, you just you can do it until you can't really just sustain yourself anymore. I mean, my wife kind of went through something similar where she wanted to do radio. When she first graduated from college, like she was basically interning for High 97 and not getting paid. And she did that shit for like a year or two. And then she was just like, I got to the point where I had to start paying my bills. Like I couldn't start falling but so far behind. Like, I
got a question. I got a question in the state.
Yeah, she majored in theater and minored in communications.
No. My question was, did she do something in the interim, and was she working on building her brand? Because one of the things that Ross said about that brand building is everything that he was doing was working towards building that brand. He doesn't do anything that's outside of what he considers his brand to be. That's from the chips to the wing stops to the checkers to everything that he does, to buying cars, to buying a John Deere. You know what I mean? And being able to flip that into making that a landscaping company. So if she wasn't trying to do something else or build her brand at that time, it wasn't just that she wasn't getting paid. It was that she was going there as a job and just left it as a job instead of looking at it as what can I gain from this, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know how she was
build my brand. How can I help this build my brand?
I don't know what her approach was while she was going out, but I know that she was even saying, like, the fact that she even got hooked up with DJ Enough and was working for Hot 97 was because she was putting herself out there, going to whatever clubs, putting herself in other positions, and kind of was just like, yo, y'all niggas just gonna know who I am. Now, I don't know how she marketed herself outside of that.
Yeah.
Because, that was before I met her, as far as her. And when I met her, she had already stopped. But
you gotta understand when you got people that's like a Kanye and he tells stories of him standing outside record companies, 5 o'clock in the morning waiting for a person. You know what I mean?
Or like he lived in Newark in like one of the where did he live in Newark again? Remind me, Smith. He lived in the illest part of
I forget it was one of the PJ towns, but
South Ward.
Yeah.
It's still
in the South Ward.
Yeah, it's still like if you got a certain drive, you're going so hard for that.
Yeah.
That's all you can see. You know what I mean? Like some people say, well, I lose my drink because I want to party. No, niggas ain't partying when you got a certain drive. You ain't partying. You ain't giving a fuck about that. You only care about making it. And that separates people.
And you know what?
Want to work, but they don't only care about making it. That separates people.
I think Smith that work ethic is what you're hitting on. I think honestly, anyone who really has
about being an entrepreneur. I'm sorry, but Black Zeus said that a long time ago about being an entrepreneur.
Is that work ethic?
That's a different work ethic.
Yeah, it's a different work ethic, and like sometimes people have a hard time looking at.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You can own your own other thing, even though you work for corporate America. Henry can own his own tutoring, whatever the case may be. I can own my own. We all can own our own. But it's the work ethic that Black Zeus put in. I apologize.
No. You're absolutely right. Because I think a lot of times when people say they have this dream to do whatever, like, do you truly have the work ethic to have that come into to fruition?
Manifest that, yeah.
To manifest that. And I think a lot of times when people fall short of their dreams, do they have that cold hard assessment of themselves in regards of whether or not they put full effort? To really see that dream come true.
Not going I think 100%, but going 1,000.
Going going full throttle.
Full throttle.
Yeah, making the necessary sacrifice. But yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that part. You summed it up right there. Yeah. That necessary sacrifice. Going full throttle. Like, did you go full throttle for your dream? Because if you went full throttle, it's almost damn near that shit's gonna happen, bro.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is America, and if you go full throttle and you going all in for a dream, damn near that shit's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
This is why people want to come to America. This is why they want to send the Haitians back, because they like, damn, if they come over here and they got that dream, they got that work ethic, then they might take over.
Yeah,
that you know what I mean? Like it's always some other shit. Like if you got that dream and that work ethic, like. Black Zeus, we all support Black Zeus, and we go hard to support Black Zeus in what he does. There's no reason why goddamn 365 doesn't become like an entity like a Wingstop and you have 25 of these around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to be as big as Planet Fitness, but I'm not one that's right underneath where I still give you some hands-on personal. But I'm not as a conglomerate where, I'm not a Costco where you just come in and buy shit in bulk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, fellas. Next question. Yo, Black Zeus, you got 3. Which one? Number 2. All right. In chapter 2, Raw said there's no sympathy in the game of life. No excuses to not achieve your goals. Is this true?
So the whole thing is, as I'm reading this book,
I'm one of that other question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now we'll get to it. We got time. We'll get to it.
As I'm reading this book, I'm thinking about how a book like this could really help a lot of kids, especially in inner cities. Like if teachers said, "Hey, here's a book that these kids might be interested in. It's related. It's relevant to the kids that are of this age and that are listening to the rap music, that know who Rick Ross is, this, that, and the other, that might really understand, especially those that want to be a boss and everything. Maybe they'll hear this and understand what it takes to be a boss. Maybe they'll understand like how much effort it takes and how life will not be, give them any passes versus like a lot of the rhetoric that's being told to these kids. It's not your fault. You came from a broken home. It's not your fault. You didn't have your daddy. It's not your fault. This, that, and the other. It's like, oh, the world is set up against you because you're black. The world is set up against you because you're poor. The world is set up against you. Instead of telling these kids, like, listen, the world, everybody got a good excuse. You could use that. I'm black. I'm poor. I'm this. And my daddy wasn't alive. But at the end of the day, the world don't give a fuck. They don't, no one gives a fuck about your excuses. You can sit there and wrap yourself in a nice warm blanket of excuses and sit your ass on the couch, you know. And the whole thing is, no one's telling these kids the harsh reality of the world that the things that are in this book are things that these kids need to hear at a very young age, so that they can start making better choices, so that they can start pushing themselves and not think that they're entitled to everything in the world, you know. Instead of thinking you need a fucking safe space, you know, they'll think to themselves, I need to create my own space. You see what
I
I'm
don't know,
saying?
shoot. I feel like even the kids who get that message, like I think it still boils down to what Smith was saying. Like, nigga, everybody's not built for it. Everybody's not
Not
going hard.
everybody, you're right.
Some niggas got
At the end of
some.
the day, you're right. Not everybody is built for it, but those that need to hear it will at least have an opportunity to hear it. There's some people who've never heard it before. So, for instance, if you look at Kevin Samuels right now, he is blowing up to where he has over 1 million subscribers on every platform. And there are women that are saying, how come no one ever told me this before? That, you know, men expect this or men expect that, or this is how I need to move and this, that, and the other. Women, because no one ever said that. Because the fact that we're basing our information, we're basing what we share on based on other people and their patheticness. If you can't handle it, fuck it, it's not for you. But maybe it's for those that want to be, you know, a boss. Maybe those that have the gumption and this, that, and the other, that need to hear it. You know, so the whole thing is like, fuck those. If you want to be an employee, be an employee. Fine, no, but you know, go work at McDonald's, go work at, you know, TJ Maxx or whatever the fuck you want to be. You want to be a boss? Here's how you learn to buy out the McDonald's franchise and be the
How's
owner
that?
of the McDonald's.
And
How's that?
Go ahead, Cal. Hold on. I want Cal to finish his thoughts.
How's that message anything different from niggas telling kids you can be whatever you want to be? Like, I get that some people have to. Okay, some people need to be told things like, "Oh, damn, I never really knew it." But then some niggas is gonna go out if it's in you and get the knowledge yourself.
Not true.
The dude, like, Schubert,
Not true.
Oh,
I would have never started my own business or started investing if someone didn't bring that to my attention.
yeah, but you
It's
still
not
would have.
necessarily
But you,
just innate.
but
See,
Schubert,
that's
you
the-
still
that's
had
the
the drive.
foolishness.
But the
foolishness
drive
is
is
to
not
think
true.
that
But the drive is still inside of you. It is.
the
It's not like, oh
foolishness-
well, so I'm not gonna go hard because nobody ever told me about something. No, I'm still gonna do it. I may not. I agree. I may not have the knowledge.
I'm coming from the perspective of someone who's done it, someone who is doing it, and someone who's lived it. And if no one shared it with me, I might not have ever done it on my own.
And I'm coming from the
I had to hear
perspective.
it. I
And I'm
had to
coming
hear
from
it
the
from someone.
I get it, Schubert. You
Can I
had your
finish
minute.
my thought?
Can I have my time? Schubert, you had your whole thought. Can I finish my
No, I
thought?
didn't. You
'Cause
cut me off in the middle of it.
Oh, I could have sworn.
Let
Patty
Cal-
said,
let Cal
Cal
finish
finish his
All right,
thought.
go ahead.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
You talked for a whole minute. He said, "Let me finish my thought." I'm coming from somebody who's saying you don't need somebody to say to you, "Oh, well, you got to do X, Y, and Z. You should never give up. You should never." To me, that sounds like, "Oh, you can be anything that you want to be." We already know this. It's inside of you. Some people, the people who make it big aren't the ones where somebody had to say, "You never have to give up." Oh, if you never give up, you can do so and so. Nobody told Kanye West to be standing out front of the freaking wherever he was standing at 5 a.m. That nigga did that shit on his own. That shit is inside of you. Some niggas drop the Mercedes, and some niggas, the best they could do is wash it. And that don't mean that them niggas are living a horrible life, but it's just like, yo, this is the extent of your fucking drive that you have. It's just like, and I say this and then I'll pass it on. You sit here and you can give a message to somebody, and that shit'll fall on deaf ears because their motivation ain't there. You can tell them niggas all the time, bro, look how smart you are. You can do so-and-so. You can be this, and not saying it because you motivating them, but saying it because it may be the truth. And that shit might never resonate with that motherfucker because they don't have it inside of them.
All right, so
That's
You
it.
do
Go
realize
ahead, Smith.
even Ross said in the book himself, if one motherfucker hears this, one out of 100, out of thousands hear this shit, and it gets them off their ass, then it's worth it. See, you're worried about the other 99, while somebody's only looking for that one to hear it. You know, there's somebody that might need to hear it. It may not be you, Kel. You know, but coming from that perspective of the person who needed to hear it, I heard it from someone else, and that I heard it from someone else and that person changed the direction of my life.
Yeah.
So
Smith,
some
chime
of
in,
us do
brother.
need to
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
hold on.
yeah,
Let's Smith chime in. He ain't chime in on this question. Smith, go
Yeah.
ahead, brother.
So there's no sympathy in the game of life, and there shouldn't be. You know, some things I might be empathetic to. Some things I might be some things I might be able to sympathize with. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna say this, right? There's no excuse to not achieve your goals. There is no excuse to not achieve your goals. There is no excuse to not achieve your goals. The choices that you make results in the consequences that you receive. If it's your goal and that's what you're trying to achieve, then there should be no excuse, no reasonings. There should be nothing that stops you from your end goal. There should be nothing that gets in your way of your end goal, because you're so focused on getting to the highest point or getting to the top of that ladder or your goal that nothing stands in your way. That's no false pregnancies. That's no drugs. That's no alcohol. That's no extra hanging out. Nothing stops you when you have that drive. Nothing. Yes, I could be in a situation that's impoverished and I see over and over again how welfare is being passed on in my family. But I got to go to break this cycle. And nothing stops me from breaking that cycle, from reaching my goal, except me. I am the only person that can stop me. Everything else that happens to me makes me stronger. It builds me. But I am the only person that can stop me from reaching my goals. I could be raped. How do I respond to it? I could be shot again. How do I respond to it? You know what I mean? I can have people that I love so much be taken away, stripped out of my life forever. How do I respond to it? But there's nothing that should ever stop you from your goal except death. Death is the only outlier. That's the only outlier when we're talking about stopping you from your goal. Besides the fact that you didn't really want to achieve that. That's not what you really set out to achieve. It sounded good on paper. It looked good. And like I tell my students, when I'm asking them real shit about their life, don't give me the teacher answer. Give me the real answer. Give me the your life answer. I don't want the teacher answer. So,
for me to chime in on this question, I don't know which one of you said this before in the past in regarding what book we read, but we've had this discussion regarding no excuses too. I think particularly in this, the 21st century, where all the information is at the palm of your hand, no one is hearing any excuses. Not a single one. Not a single one. You want to learn stock market? You could Google and YouTube that shit. You want to learn how to fix something around your house? You could Google, YouTube that joint. You want to learn how to, if you a rap artist and you got to learn how to make a beat and a melody, you could YouTube and Google that. So it's just like, I think today, especially with the youth, no one's trying to hear that, because you got kids, overseas now who I have access to, the Raj in India, who's trying to be a software developer, like the competition's too thick. So like no one's trying to hear it. Like no one's simply trying to hear any excuses you might have in regards of why you couldn't get something done.
Exactly.
It's just it's
I
that.
was going to speak to that.
Yeah.
Point. That was going to that point. Like before, it was one way, and I had big green books in my house. And
exactly. Yeah.
Everything is in the palm of your hand. So the only thing that's stopping you is you.
Is you. Like literally.
You can make it happen. You know what I mean?
Can I go back to my point?
Huh?
Can I go back to my point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So my point is that when it comes to kids, so for instance, my son is 10 years old. I could tell him 100 times, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room. Just saying it one time or one way is not going to get the message embedded in his mind. To say that whole "it's in you" is a load of shit. That's coming from someone obviously who's never had to raise a child. Certain things are just not in people. Some things have to be, fostered within people.
The nature versus nurture.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nature.
Yo, I've never raised a child.
Can I finish?
Yeah, let me finish, man, because
And some things,
you raised a dog.
And some things, it depends on who you're hearing it from. So, for instance, when I heard about starting my own business, I heard it from a business owner, someone who thought that I had what it takes to open a business. If I heard it from my homies, I'd have been like, yeah, this nigga, what are you talking about? So hearing it from someone that you might have more respect for, or someone that you think that has done it, versus someone giving you a cliche thing like, just go out there and do it. You can do whatever you put your mind to, is very cliche. Versus, someone who you respect or someone you look up to saying, hey, stop wasting your time. Nobody gives a fuck about your excuses. Don't bullshit around playing video games. If you have this dream to do this, that, and the other, has a higher impact than, let's say, their gym teacher who they have no hope, they have no desire to aspire to be like. So the whole thing is sometimes it depends on where you're getting the message and how you're getting the message. It's not just getting the message. If it was just the message, you wouldn't have 17 million different types of churches. Everybody's reading the same damn book, but everybody gets it a different way. Whether they're Catholic, they're Protestant, they're Seventh-day Adventist, whether they're Sharia, whether they're Suni, or whether they're
like a Shiite,
Everybody has a different way of seeing a different interpretation, and sometimes it just don't hit the same. All right, it just don't hit the same. And to say like, oh well, that someone shouldn't, try a different application because maybe this isn't applying to these kids. Maybe it's not working for them. Do something that is working for them. So, for instance, my sister, once again, it was a teacher, and she realized, listen, when she was talking about biochemistry and mutation, it was not hitting with her kids. But when she started trying to relate it to the movie X-Men, all these kids lit up and they started paying attention. So just to say, oh, it's either in you or it's not, I mean, yeah, maybe it is in you, but you have to know how to hit it right. In order for, like, every woman has a G spot, but if you can't hit that spot just because your dick may be 20 inches, doesn't mean shit.
It's not. It's still.
I thought we were. Go ahead, Cal.
Can I say something now? Thank you.
Let's go ahead, Cal.
I don't have my own kids, but coming from someone who's been in education and been around kids for 15 years, in a situation that at one school with 8 years, where I've seen a kindergartner graduate 15 years who's older than your son, I can also say, yes, some people do need to hear that message, but not everybody does need to hear it. For some people, it may make a difference where it's like, oh man, they told me that I could be something that I want to be. But for the majority of the people who from my experience, from the thousands, there's got to be about thousands now of kids who I've come in contact with as a teacher, as a coach on the middle school and the high school level, as a tutor who's tutored one-on-one, who come across thousands of kids. The average kid who's made it. Now I see kids who are 25 and 30 years old. The freaking Hilaria Fondura, who I taught in 7th grade, is the clerk at our school now. The average kid has it in them. They're not the ones who has to be told by somebody who they respect, oh man, you could do X, Y, and Z. I'm not saying don't give them the knowledge. I'm not saying don't present the idea of how to be a trainer. Well, this is what it takes to be that. Yes, they do need that knowledge, but if you didn't have the drive that you had, if somebody who you respected told you, hey, this is what it takes to be a trainer, if you didn't have it in you already, you would not be doing it. Like, there's no denying that. The fact that that person who you respect told that to you isn't the only thing that made you say, you know what? Now I'm about to go hard and start doing this. No, because some people, I say this, and then I'll pass it on to you. I feel like if somebody who does respect you, or if you do respect that person, they tell you about something, you might try it out of respect, but if that shit ain't in you, you're not going to keep up with it.
Yeah. Smith, last word, and we'll transition to another question.
I'd say it's definitely drive, because if you want to drive yourself out of a situation, that's what you have to have. I say it's drive because again, I forget who said it earlier, but I'm gonna go. I like this analogy of it. Everybody want to be Michael Jordan until you wake up one day and realize somebody got to clean the gym. You might have heard me say that before. You know, everybody wants to be Michael Jordan until you wake up one day and realize somebody got to clean the gym. We ain't even talk about the owner of the gym, but we talk about somebody got to clean it. So Mike put that work in. Mike had drive to put the work in at night, over and over and over and over, repetition. We know that there's a lot of athletes from all walks of life in all sports that these people could have been great, but they allow the outside to take over their inside. They allow themselves to not drive through all the way to see that goal all the way through. They allow other vices to come in their life and separate them from what they knew they really was trying to finish out with. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times we don't take that into consideration. So it's not that people don't have it in them. People don't always know how to pull it out of them. You know what I mean? And that's where you go talk to your life coach, your spiritual, all that. That's where you got that, because people are trying to figure out, how do I pull what's inside of me outside of me? Not knowing that if I just stay fast to this point and this is my goal, and I just stick to this goal and just follow it through. One goal, some simple shit. Simple goal. Let me make up my bed every day. I just told my daughter this shit the other day when I went over to her house. I said, why is your bed not made up? I'm going to make it up before I get in the bed. Oh, hell no, girl. I told you some time ago, we don't do that. When you get out the bed, you make that shit up. You know what I mean? So that way, when you're ready to get back in it, it's comfortable. You know what I mean?
My wife is the same way, Smith. I'm sorry, but she does the same shit. She'd be like, I'll make the bed before I get it. I'm like, what sense does that make? But go ahead, brother.
What sense does that make? But anyway.
It does make sense.
That
shit makes no sense to me. I hate
it makes no sense. But I'm trying to, it's about the goals. It's just about the goals. Yeah. And Cash, I got a question for you. Is that the Cash Money crew? The Cash Money clique? Is that the Catholic Methodist Church? On your shirt.
It's the civilian military combine.
I didn't see that part. I keep seeing the shoulder.
Yeah.
I just see the shoulder, the CMC, and I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, you did that one?
Yeah, I did that one.
Was it good?
It was dope. It was dope. I wish they.
I wanted to do it, but they got shut down.
Yeah, they got shut down real. Yeah, they did like 2 events and then they got completely shut down, which is tragic, bro.
CMC on his shirt, Cash Money Crew. I like that.
I'm wearing my Spartan shirt.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Smith's question. So we sharing off.
I thought we were sharing.
We sharing shirts. What your shirt say, Kelvin? Straight out of what? Ivy Hill.
Straight out of Ivy. Yeah, because I'm at Speedway now.
All right, let's get into Black Smith's question. Being a boss is about being in the driver's seats of your life, regardless of whether you're riding in a Bugatti or your mama's Ford Focus. Why do so many people look for someone else to be the driver of their life? Simple. People don't want to take accountability of their failures.
It's kind of like the piggybacks. The questions that I have, they both piggyback.
That's what it is. It's easier to place blame as to why you haven't achieved anything than to look in the mirror and says, "Damn, did I put full effort into my goals?
Did I put full effort?
I'm dealing with that right now with a brother.
Did I go hard for my goals? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter what level, even if I'm getting on this bus, am I going hard for my goals?
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. Like, are you pushing for what you want to be? You know what I mean? Or you just sitting around saying you want to be?
Yeah.
And I like every time I was listening to another part, I kept thinking about Black Zeus. I was like, yo, Black Zeus really took that route. He took the entrepreneurial route. He stepped out, on good stewardship, good faith, and said, yo, I'm going to do this shit right here. You know what I mean? And he made it work. And I respect that so much, Black Zeus. Like, I respect the hell out of that. You know what I mean?
Henry, you got anything? And then we wrap it up with Black Zeus.
I don't know. That shit kind of sounds to me like welfare. Let me look at this shit again. Like that's what it sounds like. A nigga wanna be in the boss. Why do so many people look to someone else to be the job of their life? That just sound like to me. Niggas is just. I'm sorry, that's the first shit out to my mind. Niggas on welfare, like yo, I'm trying to be taken care of, which is also fucked up because it could also be like a woman who want to be taken care of. So let me take the high route. Let's take it from a female perspective. Maybe they want to be the job of their life because they want to be led by somebody else. Because some people are better at being companions than being a head. But I'm not gonna lie. First thing popped in my mind was fucking welfare, because niggas like the easy way out.
But it's the driver's seat of your life. I understand that welfare theory, though.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
The welfare theory,
Yeah.
I'm in a driver's seat, but I'm in a Tesla.
Well, maybe part of it.
Automatic driver type shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right analogy with that one.
Only other shit I could think about with that one.
Driving it for me.
Everybody just ain't built to be a fucking leader. Like some niggas is okay with being number two.
Are you the leader of your house?
Don't do that.
Let's get Black Zeus to chime in, brother. Go ahead, Black Zeus. Before we get Mr. Henry in trouble asking those ridiculous questions.
Cash, it was coming your way, Cash.
I know it was coming your way. That's why
I was just waiting. I was just waiting for Black. I was waiting for Black Juice to say myth of male power.
That's his go-to line.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna come from a perspective that might make some people's butthole pucker up.
Oh shit! You talking about some sodomy shit? Oh, go ahead, brother.
Here's the reality: what you put in is what you get out. You take a child,
fact,
from infancy, and you say, "Mommy and Daddy will take care of you, pay your bills, feed you, clothe you, shelter you. You don't have to worry about any responsibilities. You don't have any type of liabilities or responsibilities on you." You double down on that and say to that child when they're very young, everything outside of this household that's not in your control is controlled by a magical sky daddy that also is responsible for taking care of you and making sure that everything's okay with you and everything's all right. Anything that's good is not your fault. I mean, it's not your doing. It's Sky Daddy that did it for you. Anything that's bad, it's the Sky Daddy's bad, the boogeyman, from down below that came and got you and did it to you. Then you tell the child, don't go out there and, create your own business, your own this, that, and the other. That's too dangerous. That's too volatile that you could lose everything. Do the safe route. Go to school. Let someone else tell you how to think, what to think, how to respond to things, and then go work for someone else and let them take on all the responsibility. Let them be your boss and write you a check. Let them pay you a pension and so forth and so on. And then if you don't like the world that's around you, hire or elect leaders to determine how the world around you works. Make the laws, have the police protect you, have the firefighters take care of you, have the doctors, take care of your health and everything like that. When you in an environment where you are constantly a passenger in your lifestyle, you don't even know you're a passenger because you've been in that passenger seat so long. You falsely think because you have like a toy wheel in the back seat behind your mommy and daddy. They give you this toy wheel to make you feel like you're driving a car. You think you actually are, and that is the reality of the world.
And
from childhood, you were taught that everything about your life is not really your responsibility. It's everyone else's responsibility. And we further it to this day where we tell our kids, like, oh, we have to make safe spaces for you so that your feelings don't get hurt. We have to change reality for you and tell you that that you're something that you're not because you feel that you're that. And if anybody tells you any different, then they're the wrong, not reality, not the truth. Because you know what? That's what we've created and that's what we have fostered throughout life. So, you can't be mad at people for being what they are. The world made them what they are.
Damn, you out here hurting feelings. Shit, you hurt my feeling. Fuck you.
I told you your butthole was gonna fuck her up.
Like fuck you. You know, you was talking about looking for other people with your pensions and shit. Man, fuck you. It's like no.
But am I lying?
Nah, because actually a lot what you said ties in with the book you picked last year, which Outwitting the Devil. Not letting people be the master of your life, having more ownership and responsibility. So yeah, that message, reigns true. You got to find ways to be the driver's seat in your own life in every capacity possible. Certain things might be out of your hands, but there's a lot of things that's within your control. All right, rapid fire. Let's see if we can get into a couple of more questions.
Rapid fire. Come on, let's go.
All right. So in the introduction, this is my joint. In the introduction,
I'm sorry. Black Zeus and Cash, though. I know when he started making them references to Malcolm Gladwell, y'all was going to be like, "Oh shit."
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
Reading what we read, Oh, okay. I like this.
I told you.
I'm sorry.
I read all Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nah, it's not a problem.
And the fact that he mentioned Robert Greene too, my other favorite author.
Yeah.
48 Laws Powers.
I was like, yo, they wrote this book to my soul.
Yeah. So so in the introduction, Rick Ross mentions that he's in Colombia to get porcelain teeth. Is it fair to say that America is slightly overrated when you have a millionaire traveling abroad to get dental work done? I found that very fascinating that he started off the book talking about he's in Colombia to get, not to do a tour, not to do any other outside businesses,
not to pick up no drugs,
but to get some porcelain teeth done in Colombia. What do we make of that, bro? What does that say about America that you got a multi-millionaire is overseas getting porcelain teeth done?
I just think people got specialties. I mean, they call it a Brazilian butt lift, right?
I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah. But I was also thinking that a lot of the multimillionaires go out of the country because America's health system is kind of shitty. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. We're good with certain shit like gun violence, because UMD&J, that is not too far from any of you all.
Yeah,
where I was in the hospital for a gunshot wound, is the fucking best in fucking trauma when it comes to fucking getting shot and stabbed. But outside of that, getting your teeth, nigga, some regular basic shit like getting your teeth cleaned, they suck with that shit. Getting your teeth fixed, so that was interesting. He had to go and get them teeth. Them teeth cost money. I know, but I think Cardi got her teeth over here though, from a black dentist. It's a black dentist. Lady.
Oh, that did Cardi? Okay.
Yeah, black lady, female. We gonna give her a shout out next time because we gonna get her name. But she did, So it's not that there are none over here, but you have to be real particular about who you go to because this is America and everybody doesn't study. A lot of these motherfuckers cheated through their doctorate. So if you want to trust them, you know what I mean, then that's on you.
Henry, you up next because I know you'll drop off in this next minute.
Yeah, go ahead. That was a quick fast.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the show to tell me. Actually, you know what, Smith? I'm about to say it. I'm gonna head over to you. I'm about to say I forgot all about that shit. Yeah, I'm
only like 7 minutes from the airport.
Nah, we good. When she tell me to leave, I'm gonna still stop by your crib. Fuck it.
Fuck you too.
What you mean? I said I'm still stopping by your crib, even when she tell me that she ready for me to come.
Now we hung out for a little bit, motherfucker.
Stop having your hissy fit on our book club. Go ahead. Answer the goddamn question.
I come to your fucking house. You don't come to my house and hang out, motherfucker.
Well, I get it.
Could y'all put y'all
Smith, you gotta.
Yeah, they having a menstrual period.
Bro, drop your negative.
I just wanted to tell a brother because if you would have came over here, I would have put something in his bowl. You know what I mean? He gave me a bowl, and you ain't supposed to give a bowl back to anybody.
How did we lose? The whole point of rapid fire is to hit the objective of these questions.
Go ahead,
Henry.
Smith,
No, Henry, we done.
Motherfucker.
Look, see, we got a goal. We got a goal. He want to get his goal accomplished. No, fuck
Right.
that.
I went at the beginning.
Done.
I said my piece at the beginning.
No, you didn't. You didn't answer this question.
I did.
Bruh, you did. Huh?
He did, because I agreed with when he said about BBL.
Yeah, but the whole shit with the whole Brazilian butlers, like niggas got their own.
I took that as just like a random comment.
I mean, at the end of it, yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, we gotta work on. Hey guys, we gotta work on this rapid fire shit. We gotta work on the rapid.
My shit was quick as hell.
Yeah, it was so quick that I forgot about it. My bad, brother. All right, you don't got much to say. Black Zeus, what you got to say about this?
I'm in agreement with Kel.
He said something already.
I said I was in agreement with Kel.
You were just in agreement with Kel? I don't know. I understand Brazilian butt lifts. People go overseas. Women go overseas for that. I don't want to say people because it's clearly women. Women go overseas to get it done. But we also perform that surgery.
Master Flex.
Now, the other part is don't forget. The other part is that they also say that it's cheaper in other countries too.
Yeah.
So am I going for the cheaper rate? Or am I going for the quality? I don't know because I've never got my teeth done or a Brazilian butt lift or any testicles or penis enlargement or bicep enhancement. I never got none of that shit. I didn't get calf implants either. I know where you're going, Kel. I didn't get calf implants either. I still can dunk, nigga. I'm just old, but I can still throw that shit down. So,
but that speaks volume to the medical system in America, though.
Does it? If I can get a cheaper value, come on now. If I'm a boss, I'm not going to pay motherfucking $100,000 for something I can get for $50,000. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it, Cash. If you got to travel, if you got to travel to
we don't even know how much he was paying. So
that's what I'm saying.
All these reasons are coming up with is speculation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you got to travel to 3 other states to get a car, that's going to cost less than if you buy it right here in Jersey. You're going to go to 3 other states. You're going to look at the price. You're going to figure that out and say, damn, it's cheaper for me to just go down here and get this shit. So we don't know what it was, but most people go because it's cheaper. Maybe he just had a good-ass doctor. From what he was saying, he had a good doctor. A good dentist, rather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next question.
And it wasn't that expensive either. From the price that he quoted. I ain't gonna quote it again because I don't remember offhand. Go with the rapid fire, man. Rapid fire.
All right. Next question. In chapter 4, Ross mentions the 10,000 rule, made famous in books like Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell and Mastery by Robert Greene. Can you think of any great achievement that negates this rule? No. Any successful person has to put in that longevity of mastering that craft. I think that standard, while Rick Ross says he doesn't necessarily think it's 10,000 hours per se, but he definitely agrees with the idea of you got to put in that time. It takes that time to be a master of your craft.
I've read it in both.
I'm not sure.
I've read it in both Robert Greene's Mastery, as well as Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, and the rule seems very consistent based off of all the great people who've ever done it, and they have put in an exuberant amount of time into their craft. What are you talking about? Michael Jordan, who was even a starter when he went to college, to becoming one of the greatest ever. Putting in extra hours, dribbling around folding chairs, on the court after practice. He put 3 hours after practice on it by himself, or if you're talking about Mozart, practicing ever since he was like a kid, so, and it seems like a fair rule, not necessarily in the sense of 10,000 hours to be exact, but just putting in that longevity. And I also, I realize it in my own personal life, me being in the industry that I'm in, it took me the first 10 years to basically get to the point where people really acknowledged the work that I was doing, this, that, and the other. And it took me another 10 years before my business was really taking off back in 2018. So each 10 years does does mark a milestone, if you will.
Yeah.
You know.
Henry?
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I didn't really feel like I had a grasp on my job like 100%, the way it was just sort of like efficient and low maintenance until around like maybe like it was maybe around like year 8 or 9. No, it might have been like year 10, which was like, okay, I got a system that's down packed. I know that this shit works. I know that it's effective. I'm just hoping it don't take this fucking long with this current job, because that's 20 damn years. You know, when you think about the shit.
Smith?
Oh, I was sitting here thinking, like, if there's something that, because not to negate what I said earlier, I believe oh shit, my screen changed. That motherfucker.
He dropped off.
He got to pick up his wife from the airport.
Yeah.
All right. That's the only good excuse that he had in a while. That's what I was saying earlier. And negate what I was saying earlier. You have to put in that time. Like, if that's your goal, that's what you work towards. Now, the problem with the 10,000 hours is that nobody ever sees that. You know what I mean? Nobody ever sees the work that you put into it. Like, I look at whatchamacallit right now, Lil Nas X. And I'm saying, damn, how did he get so big? But I don't know what he put in. You know what I mean? Was it a one-hit wonder? That's what you could say. But how many hours did he put in to try to get this one hit? You understand? Like, how many years did he work on his shit? Like Milli Vanilli, they was lip singers. You know what I mean? But how long did they work on that shit to perfect the craft of lip singing, to fool motherfuckers for damn near a decade? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to actually get that shit off, like, you even had to go in there and prep being a fraud. You know what I mean? Like, we had to go and prep ourselves to be frauds. Like, that shit is, like, even when you're trying to deceive somebody, it takes so much work to put into that shit to deceive. You see what I'm saying?
You know what? You're right. To be a master Ponzi scheme, yeah, that's work in itself.
Everything takes so much time and work to put in. So that 10,000 hour rule, yeah, I agree with it, because you don't see that time that a person is putting in to get to this point. The only thing that negates the 10,000 hour rule is I got a plan, but I don't have the money to do the plan. And somehow I come into a windfall of money.
You
know what I mean? And now I can make this plan work.
Yeah, but even then, like he said, like there are people who might get that money. It's like, if you won the millions, right? You won the millions, the mega millions. Most people, statistics have shown that have lost that money, started right where they were back at a year later. You know, right. So the whole thing is, if you never put in the work of earning $1 million, $100 million, how do you know how to protect it? How do you know how to invest it? How do you know how to, like, and I've seen, like, I have a friend of mine I know that's actually in that case where they got, over $1 million of a lawsuit, and they balled out. You know what I mean? They balled out, and now they're broke again.
What I'm saying is, you have a plan already. You've been trying to work it. The only thing that you were missing was the money, and you come into a windfall. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you just win some money.
Yeah, he's talking about the capital a lot of times.
Oh, the capital, yeah. But the whole thing is, you still put in the time for that plan.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying.
No, he's saying that, but he's saying, like, to negate the 10,000 hours, have you seen that level of success happen much at a quicker rate? And he's saying that, it could be a situation where you have a plan and you just got a windfall of money, and then next thing you know, you're able to, what would have taken you 10,000 hours to master something is probably giving you 2,000-3,000 hours, maybe 5.
You're able to take your money as you're able to take $1 million as a Trump son and turn that shit into something.
Yeah. Now you might see bumps along the road, but like,
there's always nuance.
Yeah, but you already got a little plan that
you had a plan in motion.
If I just get this,
yeah,
kind of tax free, and motherfucker just giving me this, gifting me $1 million, I can kind of make something happen with this shit.
Yeah,
I already got a plan. Not just gifting me $1 million. I'm like, oh shit, you know what? I'm gonna give me a Bugatti and I'm gonna give me a Rolex. You ain't gonna get no house, nigga. You ain't gonna get no franchise. No, nigga, I'm gonna give me a Bugatti. I'm gonna give me a Rolex.